So everybody please give a warm welcome to Team Swarm.
Hi guys, as Senja already said, that we are Team Swarm. We are doing a fighter MOBA, and we have here George, our art lead, to present the art part, and George to present the design and the engineering part.
So,
hand over to George.
So thank you, Sunit. So hi everyone, I'm Joshua Lee. I'm the lead artist on Swarm. And last semester we spent a lot of time doing proof of concept things, especially for our rigs, since this is one of the first times that our team is working through the pipeline for animated 3D characters. So we got that all figured out last year, so we were able to this year mass produce, I suppose, what we knew from last semester. So this semester our team has been doing several very specific tasks. The very first thing, not rigging wise, we'll talk about later, but the first thing we had to decide was to finalize our actual level layout. So we had some interesting problems. So first off, as you remember, our level is divided into 3 layers. You have the canopy layer up top, then you have the terrestrial layer, and then beneath that you have the subterranean layer. The biggest issues probably came with the subterranean layer here. So some of the problems, I suppose, is working with, as you traverse through the underground, how do you deal with camera? There's a lot of potential for getting the camera trapped in geometry and clipping through walls and such. So we had to spend a lot of time determining how could we make the underground, design-wise, fun to traverse, yet at the same time camera friendly. So as you can see, we have a lot of nice sweeping arcs, no wiggly, very narrow confines. So we're still working through this, and this is as you can see, we don't have it in the final game yet, but we're still prototyping to see what's the best way we can lay out our layers. So as you can see over here, from the terrestrial layer, we have 2 entrances to the subterranean layer. There's a big obvious cave entrance over here, so you can see that leads down to the main area. And then we also have this secondary entrance. It's kind of think of it as a hobbit hole, I guess. There's a hill here, and then there's a little hole. You can travel down through it, and that eventually leads to our one of the chambers down below. So moving on, the next thing that the art team has been concentrating on, as I said earlier, is mass producing our hero character rigs. So here, remember last year we had a bee character. This time we've produced our ant character, our bulky character. So like our past character Vexpula, this character also has 4 arms. So the rigging was very, very similar to our past work that we did last year. So something specific here, just for fun, we can see is we can control the mandibles. Hold on. All right. So if I select this controller, we have some right. So the interesting thing about this is that it's not entirely done by hand, the rig. We first took a Miximo rig, and then we started making modifications. So Miximo would allow us to have bipedal rigs, 2 arms, 2 legs, but what we had to do customly was the lower arms, the mandibles, the antennas. You can see the antennas move too. There's also a stinger back here. So right now, there's going to be, I believe we plan on having 3 characters in our game. This is our 2nd character, and so far we've only concepted our 3rd character. And let me show it to you here, and George will talk more about this grasshopper character here.
So we start out with a mage, Vexpula, and a fighter, Warmica. And it was a really difficult decision to decide who would the 3rd character be. How could we pick a character that would complement these 2 characters? So we decided to go with an assassin. Introducing Shistar, the blade hopper. So he's based on a grasshopper, but what he does is he has a technique where he teleports between his swords. So we'll elaborate that when going through the abilities, but some background on his character. Shistar is a master swordsman with 4 swords, which is rare in the insect world, and he is a well-known thief. He's known for getting into dangerous situations and artfully escaping with things that he's interested in stealing. So these swords that he's wielding, he stole those. And these swords are ancient swords from ancient desert ruins, and he was cursed to, he can never let go of the swords after he stole them. So that plays a huge part in how he's played. He can physically let go of the swords, but they're bound to him in a different way, which totally affects how he's played. So, you have the GD, right?
Yes.
Alright, so I'll just quickly read off what his abilities are.
I'm sorry, can you keep on talking? Let me,
This is your
let me
outline.
open something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. It's one GD spring. It's this one.
Yeah, we disconnected from the internet. Alright, it was the first one?
No, it was the third one.
There we go. Alright. Here we are.
Alright, so scroll down.
Computer lives in okay. So here, why don't you go ahead and
Yeah, I'll find it.
here.
Yeah, sorry, this was up before things were last day. Ah, here we go. No, this is the wrong document. All right, I'll just read off the top of my head when while you keep looking for it.
Sure, what are
Okay,
we looking
so his passive ability is called Severed Spirit. So whenever he lets go of the sword, which I'll explain how he does later, the sword in his hand that was physically there is replaced with a ghostly version of that sword. It's functionally the same, except it looks like it's transparent. It looks like a ghostly sword. If he is holding 4 ghostly swords, so he's released all 4 of his swords, his jumps are stealth. So his first ability, here. Okay, so his next ability is blade duality. So if he starts wielding at least one physical blade, he mounts one of them onto the ground at his location, so he puts it down. And if he is within arm's reach of one already, he'll just pick that one up. So it's a pick up, put down. And his next ability is Phantom Leap. So if he's within arm's reach of a mounted blade, he'll hop onto the hilt, and then he will, after a short channeling duration, teleport to the hilt of another sword that's mounted on the ground. So this gives him, these 2 abilities are all about setup. So he's very combat heavy, and his abilities help him maneuver his way in the battlefield to while psyching out his opponents and letting his attacks do the damage, not his abilities. So his third ability, it's called Vanishing Act. So what he does is he spins around, releases all 4 of his swords at the same time in cardinal directions. They're all mounted. Which would effectively make it so that he's holding 4 ghost swords and he can jump and stealth. So, shortly after the swords land on the ground, they'll create a barrier or a ghostly aura that traps him and enemies that are in there inside of it until the aura disappears after a short duration, or if Shistar picks up one of the swords. And anyone outside of it at the time cannot come in. So this really characterizes Shistar as an assassin because it makes it so that he can set the odds of his battle. He can take somebody and make it so that he can unfairly put them in a 1v1 position. Or he can take some of his teammates and unfairly make a 2v1 position. So it doesn't last very long, and he can also use it as an escape route by stealth hopping to one of the swords and then escaping. And then he can use his ultimate. So his ultimate is that whatever swords are mounted on the ground, they will come back to him, his location, spinning, and they will hurt anybody they pass through, proportional to how much distance they've already traveled. And when they get to him, he'll be wielding those physical swords again. So that's the entirety of his kit. So,
We'll go to the demo.
yeah, go through the demo. So we have some of his abilities implemented. We just don't have his the assets in. So like we're using one of the other heroes temporarily. That's the stuff you made. Center canopy layer. Alright, so these are the workers. Here's one of them. So workers are colored differently. So the red ones are on that side, and the green ones are on the other. So you can attack these workers, they'll attack you. They have a priority system for attacking different enemies, depending on different situations. Alright, so you just use Vexpil's ultimate, which causes her hive to drop from there and knock enemies doing AoE damage. That's no attacking worker. Alright, so we're going to just use this model time to have. Mayhem around. Base Sentinel is so it's like the flower that shoots pollen, except it's a carnivorous plant that does AoE bind damage. So this is the old version of the subterranean layer. We're gonna have a new one in. Much less tunnely than the new one. Yeah. Okay, so one of the biggest things we have to focus on for the rest of the semester here is we have our features practically in. They just need some polish. There are a lot of bugs, yeah. So those need to be fixed, and then we'll have a smooth game practically. But most of the assets are in. Most of the features are in. We're just we just have a few issues here. But yeah, like the aesthetic is like pretty much there, and the basic movements there. We're having some server issues, which is causing the animation state machine to be a little wacky, but it totally works locally. Yeah, and then balancing, making sure that the game lasts about as long as we would like it to. It's a 3v3 game, so presumably every character or every team would have one of each character. And some of them are better suited for other players. Yeah, so that's one of the bugs we have. The minions kind of have some crazy behaviors sometimes. So what we did this semester, well, what we did this semester was we spent a lot of time in the beginning making it so. What we had initially last semester was we had a very iterative process. There were a lot of things that were made but not in a really scalable way. So we worked on refactoring things using an inheritance model so we could put more characters and stuff in. And the way that worked out is we have mostly what we started with last semester, but it's a lot cleaner and a lot more scalable, so we'll be able to make changes to it faster. From last semester, we do have a few new features, a few new things going on, but it was mostly focused on getting it done in a better way. So that was the beginning of that. So we got level up mechanics and stats, and we got some of the abilities of the third character, which we're going to demo that. Or?
We can restore it.
Yeah, we can expect.
Okay. And we're just using Vexpil's assets, so we don't have the model or rig yet for start. We also worked on LODs and mid-map optimization. We got the camera working really nicely. We were messing around with a bunch of different camera configurations. We found a cool thing where you could orbit the camera, your movement orbits the camera, and you can, moving the camera up zooms you out, moving it down zooms you in, so you have sort of a first person or third or top down view almost. And yeah, mostly animations, actually getting, so Warmica in particular, we made custom animations, and we've been spending a lot of time, or a couple of us on the team have been spending a lot of time learning how to animate it. So I haven't really been showing you the Warmica animations that much, but it's just pretty solid.
So we're going to go ahead and show the stars.
Yeah, abilities, yeah.
And then after that, we'll open up to questions.
Alright, so you place a sword. Alright, place another sword. Use the second ability, get on the sword. What was happening? Alright, what is there? Sword running on the same machine. Is it a server issue?
It's running on the same machine as the server.
Okay. Okay, so he's transparent when he jumps. Okay. So it should show transparent for you, but invisible to other clients. And that's the ultimate when you have them all come back so that they're not spinning currently. Alright. We've done it a couple of times. Yeah, so that's the third character in progress.
Okay, so would you like to open up to questions?
Yeah, sure.
So I haven't been able to play it yet. What makes it, you said it's like a mobile fighting game, is it inputs that make it like a fighting?
Yeah, so it's mostly the camera view and the input. So it's like you'll have two basic attacks. So it's not like a target clicking kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's more like a actual.
Yeah,
So, so we have some of that going. It's mostly held up by animations, but the mechanics are yeah. But yeah, it's That's pretty much how it goes. It's going to be really simple by the end of the semester.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we have light and heavy attacks, but we are kind of held back because of the animations. We can't, we are not able to progress to the combo system. But,
I know about animation holders.
yeah, so
It's probably one of the most significant holders.
What led you to base the animated state machine on server instead of a client?
Well, it was initially based on client, but there are issues with server that like you need to replicate certain aspects of it.
Right. The issue is that when you're running the dedicated server, sometimes a variable, right now we haven't had a chance to debug because we literally got the wormic acid in, like, the actual animations in yesterday. So they're still variables that should be replicated aren't being replicated right now, so, which is causing the transitions to fail.
You said you wanted to make sure that the game lasted as long as you guys wanted it to be, and how long that is.
For a demo version with 3 choosable characters, probably around 5-10 minutes. But like in the long run, it should be like 20-30 minutes.
I mean,
You don't want a demo for like half an hour.
Yeah.
Is the game currently in a state where you've had a chance to iterate through gameplay and actually log gameplay data so that you know how long the matches lasted? I mean, do you have any useful feedback as it relates to completed matches?
Not yet.
I mean, we are storing like the analytic data, and we are not able to make charts out of it. Actually see how it affects the game. But they're actually showing the data.
Yeah, there are currently some pretty game-breaking bugs right now, but we're that's going to be the primary focus of like after this midterm. But yeah, mainly getting it to play smoothly from start to end. That's our #1 priority now. Before it was just getting the different aspects of it.
And will you have in-game analytics when up and running when you are ready to test?
Yes, absolutely.
So there are 3 characters. It kind of rock, paper, scissors comes to mind. Are you setting up the characters so that one beats the other but gets beaten by the third?
It's not clear cut as in like you have one character beats the other in all aspects. They have multiple decisions they can make to counter each other. But there's some of those are on a much higher level than others. So some of them you have to actually, some of them just based on their maneuverability and their so like durability and speed and stuff. Those will have definite like rock paper scissors effects to them. But there will also be every character's abilities are just like they're so unique and bring so many options. Like there's definitely a way that you're not going to be condemned to a bad matchup.
Any question?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so